Hello, beautiful humans. This is MJ with Mirrored Wellness Podcast. Thank you for joining me on this quest for self-mastery. In this podcast, I talk, sometimes ramble on, about all things self-wellness. I share tips and personal journeys that have touched my life. I hope you enjoy, lean in, and let's get to today's episode. What is up, my friends, my beautiful humans? This is MJ from Mirrored Wellness Podcast, your host. I can't help myself. Your hostess with the mostest. I'm sorry. Okay. So this episode will likely be a little bit shorter than the last ones. But I want to talk about something serious. I have been having a couple of guests on here and there, just kind of experimenting with having other people on my podcast and kind of bringing you new perspectives and maybe different stories from other people and their journeys to self-discovery, including but not limited to my beautiful daughter who joined me on the last podcast. And yes, I will definitely have her on again. I enjoy our conversations significantly. So I want to talk about what I would consider a root cause trauma problem. And I say problem kind of in a light manner. So let me tell you a story. Beginning of December of last year, I had a very manic episode, and I have talked about this on my podcast for a while. It was a very, very deep manic depressive episode. I did unfortunately have some suicidal thoughts in there. It was not very pleasant. I ended up pulling myself out by using my what I call fail safes, which is when I'm feeling better in the year, I put things in place to make sure that when I do have an episode, I can pull myself out or someone can help me pull myself out. Now, what that looks like really quick is, for me, I put together a thing where I basically talk to certain people. I call them my people. I'm sure everyone has somebody that they would call their person. No matter, they could do no wrong or something along those lines. Or as my friend says, if you come up to me and go, I did something bad, I will say to you, where's the shovel and where's the body? If you do not have a person like that in your life, go looking. There are so many people out there that I believe we do click with people. But anyway, that's a whole nother podcast. So no worries if for some reason you can't think of anybody. You could be your own ride or die. That's what you should be doing anywhere. And that is where I'm going with this. Anyway, I put those people in place that I talk to those people every day. And even if you don't have a person that you would consider a ride or die person, still, if you talk to someone on a daily basis, you could still do this with that person, even if you don't consider them that. Because I talk to these people on a daily basis, if I disappear, they're going to wonder where I go, right? So that happens to be one of my fail-safes. And this is how someone was able to pull me out of myself, my own self-destructive phase. Now, this one was a little shorter than my normal ones are, and I was very grateful for that. When this happened, when I came out of it, I finally realized that there is something that I can do, and I did not want to go through that again. Now, for some back reference, I joined a wonderful, wonderful program called the Impact Theory University, full of beautiful entrepreneurs and growth-minded humans, if you will, that want to literally see you strive. They want to see you succeed. Now, I got involved with this group January of last year. And so it's been about a year I've been involved, but I really, really, really started to get myself into what's called accountability groups about June of last year. And that in itself is what throttled my exponential self-mastery work. So because of that, I believe I was able to help myself pull myself out of that manic depressive episode. So because I had the mindset tools in place already in my head, I was able to be in a place where I had the tools to move forward quicker. And when I came out of that episode, I also had the means and the tools and the questions to ask myself, what is the root cause problem? I'm going to ask you this real quick. Ready? When you have those fears that happen to you, like for me, it is fear of success. I also have fear of failure. What a terrible paradox that is, isn't it? Terrible paradox that is. And I'm going to digress for a moment after this. But just a general fear of judgment. When I ask myself, what deep down is the root of all those problems? You know what my answer was? My answer was self-acceptance. I did a little work for a second time go around in my life on the book by Mastin Kipp called Claim Your Power. In there, he goes over making a purpose statement. I believe it's about somewhere near day 12 now. If you do the book and you do the 40 days that it suggests in there every day, please do not stop at day 12. I highly suggest you keep going, but I'm just saying that's about when you put your purpose statement together. My purpose statement, I'm sorry I'm going a little quick. I know I've talked about a lot of this in my previous podcast, so for lack of redundancy, or, I'm kind of going through that process a little quick. But my purpose statement is, I was born to accept myself and the universe or source or God or whatever you believe in, and feel the connection that results while inspiring others to feel the same. I repeat this statement to myself at least twice a day, along with the following statements. I am worthy and I am enough. I am worthy of love from myself and others. Because I repeat this to myself subconsciously, this is one of those fake it till you make it moments where you cannot believe it when you first start, but if you say something enough, you're basically brainwashing yourself into that. So, I know it's hard to stay consistent, but I literally put sticky notes. Now my poor daughter can attest to this because she said she caught the sticky note virus. I put sticky notes everywhere. Those statements are the most important ones to me, along with Jocko's good speech. So I just have good somewhere. And own that shit, because those are my mantras. And breathe. Sorry, I do have a lot, don't I? But anyway, I am enough is one of the most important statements that I have said to myself on a repeated basis every single day. I'm going to tell you another story. After my manic depressive episode, I decided I was going to blog post every day on my Instagram page. It's my personal business Instagram page, if you want to call it that. I have two personal pages. One is left over from my journaling days, my journalist days, and the other one is I started to basically to share my poetry, and it ended up being a blog. I just share my everyday realizations and things that I find. So definitely go follow that if you're interested. I'll leave all that in the show notes along with everything else I'm saying today. The most powerful thing I could have done for myself is realize what my root cause trauma problem was. I call it a trauma problem, but it's just root cause fear, basically. My self-love, self-acceptance. In my purpose statement, one of my two main emotions that I keep coming back to. Now, and Mastin Kipp talks about this, you're going to have two main emotions in your life at this particular moment that you always keep coming back to. The ones that if you feel these two emotions, you will be able to thrive. And mine are acceptance and connection. If I don't feel those two things, I won't be able to move forward. I won't be able to push past fear. I won't be able to try to connect the dots and have clarity and all that stuff. So when I came out of my manic depressive episode and I redid those 40 days again, I realized the power of that purpose statement is that I really do need to focus on accepting who I am. Radical self-acceptance, radical self-love. Then I can work on connecting to other people in a positive manner. The connection to not only myself and the universe, but to others. Very super, super duper important to me. So I started to really I literally put down every other thing that I was working on and started to work on this. I had a very, very powerful episode with an awfully awesome gentleman. That was such a weird thing to say. I apologize. An awesome gentleman who helped me out. He did what's called an RTT session. And I am going to ask him, but unfortunately I haven't been able to ask him quite yet. He is working on finishing up his RTT license. If you don't know what RTT is, it's called rapid, I believe it's transformation therapy, or is it rapid trauma? No, rapid transformation therapy. It is a kind of like cognitive behavioral therapy meets hypnosis therapy. It's a Marisa Peer type of, she came up with it. She's a beautiful human. Go follow her if you don't know who she is. She's known for a lot of her hypnotherapy stuff. Anyway, I had a session with him, and one of the things he had asked me, he goes, what is the one thing that we can work on that will help you? And I instantly knew exactly what it was. It was radical self-acceptance. I really needed to work on feeling good about myself when I'm with my own self. Not fearing judgment, because I love myself so much that if the world disappeared tomorrow when I was left on my own, would it be difficult? Fuck yes. It would suck. But could I do it? Yes, because I love me. I'm good friends with me now. Me, myself, and I are friends, if you will. This took years, and do I still find myself? My friend actually the other day, she was like, are you having trouble with moving past this because of you don't think that you deserve to be past this? And I was like, well, shit. I think that's probably it. I'm always reminded that it's a level of healing each time. This is probably something that I'm going to be healing from my entire life. And that's okay. That's okay. It's okay to know that you're always going to have something that needs to be worked on. But that's the beauty of it. This is why when they say you got to love the journey, this is why. Because we're humans. And I said this, feelings are for feeling, right? We're humans. We feel things. All range of feelings. It's when we get stuck in those because we refuse to feel them and move past it, right? So this is something that I know that I'm still going to come up with. I'm still going to have self-hatred sometimes. But I know now I have the tools to move forward and love myself. I can have that gratefulness practice that I have on a daily basis that is so important to me. That gratefulness practice is, I can't even tell you how important it is to me. To sit back when I'm feeling crappy and start to just list off everything that I'm grateful for, and not just list it off, but really feel gratitude and love. And if you're having trouble with this practice, you're having a day where gratefulness practice just doesn't connect with you. I have those days. Try to think of something in your life that you love unconditionally. It could be a dog, image of your dog loving you and licking your face, and just that moment, or a time in your life where you absolutely loved something or someone so much that you can go back into that memory and feel it. And I want to tell you another secret. Ready? It's okay to cry. It's okay. Crying is healing. Crying is feeling the emotion, is processing this feeling. I've spent most of my life trying to avoid crying. And now it's okay to do that. I've accepted that in my life, that it's okay to cry. And see, right now, as we're talking, right now, I'm having tears in my eyes. It's such a beautiful thing to release. It's okay to cry. I mean, and if you feel subconscious about it, Just go hang out in a city like Boston or New York and you can cry in the middle of the street and no one will unfortunately, no one will usually stop and ask you what your problem is. People might feel uncomfortable with you crying, but that's their thing. Don't take on their discomfort. Let me see if I can say this in the most, don't take on someone else's discomfort because they're uncomfortable watching you try to heal because they're not ready to heal that part of themselves yet. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I'm going to repeat it. Do not take on someone else's discomfort when you are healing because they are having a hard time processing your healing because it's uncomfortable for them. Do not put your healing on hold because someone else is uncomfortable with it. That is not okay. It is not okay. And again, that took me a really long time to realize that. Now, if you are interested in anything that I have said today at all, please reach out to me, leave a comment, reach out to any one of my social medias. I will leave them down on the podcast notes. Now, I want you to ask yourself this if you're interested. Journal till you can't read anymore. Sit there 15 minutes, meditate, clear your mind, breathe. And when I say clear your mind, what I mean is when you have a thought, thank it for coming and leave the door open for it to leave. That's what meditation is. It's having the thought come in and being an observer and then moving it, letting it dissipate on its own. Once you acknowledge it, it usually dissipates. If you have sticky ones, one of the things that two things that I've had a really awesome time with is when you have those sticky things that keep coming up. You can tell it two things. One, say, you know what, we can deal with this at another time. I'm going to schedule it when I'm done with this meditation. We will schedule to actually dive into that thought or dive into that emotion, right? So scheduling that emotion, that will usually what that works for me, but you can't just say it. You really have to actually schedule it to think about it. The other thing you can do is just be there with it. But be careful about the stories you tell yourself. Because sometimes those sticky feelings, sometimes those sticky emotions and those sticky stories that we tell ourselves are just things that we're just repeating over and over and over to ourselves. If you find yourself doing that, just do the puppy method, like I would call a puppy method. Just keep bringing yourself back to the breath, Or if you have a phrase that you tell yourself, like let go, you breathe in, breathe out, let go. Just keep bringing yourself back to that. I know it's frustrating. It's just like training anything else. You just got to be patient and it'll work. Now you're going to meditate and then you're going to just journal either on paper or there and just journal. What is the emotion that you keep coming back to? What is the one root thing that if you really stopped working on everything else in your life and just focused on this one thing, how many dominoes would you knock over? How many emotional traumas would you start healing? For me, it was always the self-acceptance, and maybe it's different for everybody else, but from what I see, self-acceptance is really great. So if you don't know where to start with self-acceptance. Start with radical self-love. Really, really learning how to heal yourself, to love yourself, to be your best friend. Good place to start is that sticky note, that mirror work in the morning. When you look in the mirror, look right in your eye and say, I'm worthy of love. I am enough. And I promise you, you are. I'm not lying to you. You are enough. All right. I have got to go, ladies and gentlemen and beautiful humans and whatever you identify as. If you identify as an alien, you are also welcome here. I do not just speak to humans. You're a beautiful spirit. You're a beautiful human. You are absolutely loved. Please stay. I love you. I will talk to you next episode. Take care. As always, thank you for listening. If you like Love, hate, get value, don't get value, this podcast. Leave some feedback, like and subscribe, tell your friends. Don't forget to check me out on all social media. All that is in all the podcast notes below. This is MJ signing off. You continue to be a beautiful human. I love you.